today. I've done a completely different naturally stock lake to normal. I've no idea what's in here, no idea the stocking density, so it's a completely natural lake. I don't actually know of anyone fishing this for the past year or so, so there could literally be anything in here. It's going to be a really exciting session. Today I'm after Tench, here for a 48-hour session. I'm really going to give it a go, really going to see if we can catch any. It's quite a weedy water, so it looks like we're going to need the rake, but I think this session's going to knock up a few surprises. I mean, there could be anything in here. I mean, we think they're tench, but there could be carp, bream, roach, rudd, perch, could be anything in here. Could even be a big pike. But it's a tench we're after today, and to try and get some. Right, let's get on with the fishing. It's on the westward side of the lake, and although the wind isn't initially blowing into this corner, it's predicted to change around and blow into it tomorrow, and that's going to be for the duration of the session. I'm going to be using a rake to clear the swim. Now let's take you through that. Right, the idea of rake is to be able to clear the swim of any obstructions or weed that may be in the water. Another good point of rake is that it will stir up the invertebrates and food items that are in the silt that the fish naturally feed on. Now, this is particularly good on natural water such as the one I'm fishing today, because these are the food items the fish will be used to feeding on, and so when I stir it up, the fish are going to move into a feeding frenzy and hopefully take the bait. Another good point of raking is that it stirs up the bottom and creates a murky water atmosphere around where I'm fishing. This will then give the fish confidence. That's especially true in the water I'm fishing today. It's incredibly clear, and I think the fish at the moment are certainly not there because I can see the bottom. So raking it will hopefully help. It's going to make it more murky, it's going to introduce more food items that the fish are going to be naturally feeding on into the swim, and I definitely think this is going to be a winning method today. Right, let's just have a look at the rake itself. Now, you can buy rakes suited for the job. I've just made one. It's just comprised of a simple rake head where I've snapped off the wooden pole that will come with it, just a normal garden rake. And what I've done, I've just welded on some nails to the back of it so to make a double-sided rake effect. What that means, when I chuck it out into the swim, no matter what side it lands on, it's always going to be dragging the bottom, stirring up the bottom and putting in the weed. Whilst before you do that, sometimes it'll land on the back and it won't put in any weed at all, which is pointless. I've then just tied on, I don't know, about 7-8 metres of rope, and something you've got to remember when you're fishing with a rake is to always, on the end piece of rope, tie it around your hand about 4 times. Now it's going to reduce the length of the distance a rake's going to cover, but I've had it twice now. When you're chucking the rake, you forget to have that around your hand, and the rake goes about 1 million miles into the lake and you've lost it. So that's a definite must, always have it tied around your hand. So that's the rake. Now let's put theory into practice. Right, I'm going to start off with putting a few handfuls of this out of the hemp. I'm going to try and get a little even spread. I'm going to try and form an arc when I throw it out. I'm going to have 3 arcs, one further out, one closer in, and one even closer. Because at night when I'm fishing ledger rods, I'm going to have one further out and one closer in. That's the idea anyway. Let's start off with the first handful, not a big handful. That's the one close in. daytime, and then during the night I'll put up the leisure rods. I'll take you through all those setups in a minute. Right, just run you through the setup. Now, because I'm not fishing for carp or anything, I'm not fishing heavy gear, but because I'm ledgering overnight, I'm pretty much fishing scaled down carp gear. I've already taken you through the rig. So at the business end, I'm using the Greatest Prodigy TX specimen rod. That's in the 1.5 pound test curve. It's 12 foot. Got a nice progressive action to it. I'm using 2 of these today. My setup is mimicked the other rods, so I'm only showing you one. I'm using the Shimano 4000 DL FA. That's a small bait runner. So normal clutch engaged, that's quite stiff, and bait runner nice and loose. I'm using Rise Delkin as the alarm, just simply because I've got quite good sensitivity on there. Just turn it on for you. So if I'm getting any slight plucks from Tench, I'm going to hear it, because they can be finicky sometimes, even with bolt rigs. And that's really just it for the setup. I'm using a Fox micro swinger. Just any bobbin will do really, but I'm just using my swingers just in case we get some high winds. That doesn't affect me with that. So yeah, very simple setup. Like I said, just like light carp fishing really, bait runners and a light rod. So if we get some tension on that, we should get a good bit of fun, I should think. Anyway, let's put theory into practice. Well, there we go. It's about 2:30 in the morning. I just got greeted with a screaming run and a brand new PB. 6-1. I've finally broken that 6 barrier, and what a cracking female tench. So pleased to catch that. First fish of the session, and probably going to be the best fish of the session. I tell you what, get fish better than this, we're doing well. Right, let's slip her back. There we go, literally 5 minutes after the last one, this one just took off. £6, and what would have been another PB. I tell you what, these fish are absolutely full of spawn in here, and just over the moon with that. Fantastic. On the other rod, on the maggot feeder, just great stuff. Right, let's put her back. Well, it's the second day now. After those 2 fish during the night, I'm really happy with that. Really made my day. You know, I don't really mind if I don't get anything now. We've had those fish off the mark, but it really has struck me that a fisher and having nocturnal here. It's quite interesting watching the movement. For instance, I was walking around the lake last night and looking at the fish. They start moving the very far side of the lake in the evening. So about 8 o'clock in the afternoon, or the evening, sorry. And they start moving very slowly. You can see the bubbles moving towards us, and it seems like they hit us about 12 o'clock at night, because that's when I started getting the runs and the bites. Because I actually had that fish from about 1 o'clock in the morning to about 3 o'clock. I've forgotten when the runs were. The fish just jumped behind me. But yeah, the fish definitely seemed to pick up the evening, and although last night was very good, we had a bit of action, it's all calmed down in the day as I expected. So really the day is just a time to recollect notes and try and figure out what the fish are going to be doing and how we're going to come about that during the next night. So we're going into evening now. I've just started the first baiting stage, as you'll see in a minute. And Yeah, just waiting for the sun to go down now so we can get the rods in and hopefully bag a few tench. Right, give it a crack. I'm going to make a right here. Let's take to the baits I'm using. Now, there's 3 main baits I'm going to be using on here, and all of which are incredibly natural. As I said earlier, I'm going to be fishing a naturally stocked lake. Right, the baits I'm using. Now, I'm going to be baiting up with 2 baits. The bulk of it is going to be mainly hemp. As you can see there, now hemp is an incredibly natural bait, full of natural oils that fish from all lakes, rivers that have never seen bait before will get on. And I'm not going to use this hook bait, obviously it's going to be loose feed. Hopefully what this would do is allow the fish to get in the silt, start rooting around and keep them in the swim feeding for a long period of time. Really good bait. Now the other bait I'm going to be using to bait up with, good old maggot. Now again, like the hemp, very natural bait, really get the fish on. You might notice in there what I've got is actually got quite a lot of red maggot in there. The idea of that is because from raking this lake we know that there's a lot of blobworm in here, so the red maggot, although it doesn't actually look like a blobworm, the colour at least may mimic that, and we might be able to get some fish on the feed from that. It's a very natural bait again, going to be baiting up with a lot of that. Now on the hook, I've proved to be successful, and what I'm going to be using are these great big juicy lobworms. Fantastic natural bait, all fish will be on that. I don't actually know a single fish that won't take a lobworm. Pike, everything will take lobworms, so it's going to be a great bait for the tench, and it's proven a winning bait for me for years now. So good old standby, big old lobworm, and I think I'm going to be hair rigging that. And so it's going to be fishing the maggot feeder, big old lobworm on the hook, feeding a lot of maggot, feeding hemp, and hopefully we'll get the fish on the feed. Now if all else fails, I have got tin of corn in me. I don't think they're going to be on the corn in here, if I'm honest, just simply because it's natural. You know, they don't see corn, they don't get fed on it or anything, so they're not going to know it as something they can eat, so they probably won't take it. But it's always worth carrying a tin of corn with you. Anyway, like I said, very natural, very simple baits that I think are going to turn on the fish. Anyway, let's start baiting up and catch some fish. Right, going to start the first stage of the baiting. First thing to do is put a few handfuls of hemp out. It's about 6 o'clock in the evening now. It's just the first stage of the baiting. Only a few handfuls of hemp this time. Not like the proper baiting that goes on later on in the evening. The idea of this is to put a bit of hemp and a bit of maggot out now, so when I properly rake it this evening, stir up the bottom, all the maggots and hemp are naturally stirred up, so they're not just placed on top of the silt when I'm throwing it in. And out go the maggot. One, two. Just baiting in an arc. So that's that first stage done. And get the rods ready for that evening cast. Right, let's take through the rigs I'm using. Now I'm using the same rig on both rods. Pretty simple. I've got 8-pound main line. That is then running down to a inline Drennan maggot feeder. That's just a 2-ounce version. Very simple. What I've done there, I've taken a leaf out of Martin Bowler's book. I've just sellotaped around there some plumber's tape, or electrical tape, depending on what you can call it. So I've only left a few of the holes that left them exposed. Now what that means is that when I put the maggots in there, especially at night, they're going to leak out there very, very slowly. So I'm always putting a bit of bait in the swim. So when the tench come in to feed, there's always going to be bait there. Then got a 4-inch hook ring, a Preston power line. It's an 8-pound variety. And as you can see there, I've got a big juicy lobworm. That's attached to a size 14 Drennan Specimen Plus hook. Now, however, I did find that I had a lot of problems with that last night, and I was missing a lot of runs. And I think that might be down to the small hook. So what I'm going to do, which is the same thing as I did last night on my right hand rod, I'm going to change it not only to a herring worm, I'm also going to be trying a larger hook, a size 10, again in the same hook pattern. So hopefully what that will do is allow me to hook more of the fish, because I had quite a few runs last night. Also, I'm going to try and hook more of the worm, simply because I was reeling in after it was bitten off. That could have been from the tench, it also could have been from small perch and things like that, which have got to be in this lake, because just look at it, all the reeds and things, it screams perch, doesn't it? So anyway, that's incredibly simple, and obviously that's going to form a bulk rig effect, so I've got a size 10 rig swivel just pushed in there. So when a fish picks up that worm, it hasn't got much leeway with that shortish hook link. It's going to feel the weight of that feeder. It's going to bolt off as it did last night, and eventually gave me a screaming run. Very simple, same rig on both rods, just putting that out. I'm actually putting this out different place to the right hand rod obviously. And I found a little hole in my swim, I'm just putting that in. It's only about a hole that's gone down by about 2 foot, but it's a small hole close in, that's going in there. The right hand rod's just on the edge of the hole. So, really simple stuff, you know. If you're fishing a naturally stocked lake like this one that really isn't fished at all, if very often, you don't need complicated stuff. You don't need to have your line pinned down. I've been fishing tight lines, it doesn't seem to have impeded my catch rate at all. The key is finding where the fish are, finding the feeding patterns, and finding the correct spot. And what I mean by that is, here I've found a nice sort of shallow bay, but it also shelves off to quite deep water, and that's what I'm fishing in at the moment. And also finding the right baits. In places like this, you're going to want natural baits like worm and maggot, which is what I'm using. Corn may work, boilies and pellets almost certainly not. The fish aren't on them, so why would it work? Just play it simple, just use simple natural baits and you will catch fish. Right, let's cast this out. See if we can get another tench. Well, first tench of the night and another PB. 7-7, and what a cracker. That has taken my target for this year, and that's such a big fish. So much weight because of the spawn in her. What a lovely fish, gave one hell of a run and one hell of a fight. Tench are fighters. Now that is a proper tench. A proper tench. Right. Let you have a good look at her. Let's put her back. Just look at the width across that. That is some big fish. Right, put her back. Well, good morning. Morning after the second night, and again didn't have many fish during the night, but I had that nice tench. Another PB. What a cracking fish that was. I think I'm going to bear that for some time. Interestingly, that was my tench target this year. Try and catch a tench, and I've pretty much got that now, 7-7. So very happy with that. I've just recast the left hand rod. Got to go soon, so I'm going to have breakfast and cut tea and start packing out. Beautiful morning, a bit chilly as it's going to be, but really enjoy fishing this lake, something I'd love to come back to again. A real challenge, but you know, as you've gathered by now, I love a challenge, and I've enjoyed having to try and crack this lake and find the feeding patterns of the fish and what baits are going to be on and things like that. I mean, there may be a better bait than what I've been using in here, hence why I've only had a couple. But, you know, there haven't been a lot of small fish, and that's Not what I do. Although I do catch a lot of small fish sometimes, that's not initially what I'm after. I try and target the larger fish, which can mean that you're going to go weeks, days, sometimes, without catching those larger fish, rather than catching smaller fish in a succession. So yeah, very pleased with that. Actually managed to lose an eel using that during the night. I thought this might be a good eel, spot when I came here. When I first came in and set up, I thought, yeah, definitely got some eels in. So it's nice to know they're in here. I might give them a go in late summer. I'm pretty sure there must be some big ones in there. But yeah, really enjoyed myself. Thought it was time to go home. I think if I did another night, I might be able to get another one out tonight. Starting to run out of bait now though, so I have to go home. I mean, it was interesting last night just how many tench there were in the swim. You know, so many rolling, so many fizzing up there. So you get a lot in the swim, but then probably only one result of it. I'm sure it's because there's so many that they're getting through the bait out really quickly. And I put about quite a few handfuls of hemp, 2 handfuls of maggot. You know, so it's going to take a while to get through that, especially the fact that it's always stirred up in the sill, you know. Especially to really be digging around there for hours, but after about 2 hours they were just gone. So there's either a lot of tension here, or they're just very crafty. Actually, it's probably more on the crafty side of things, but yep, very happy with that. Right, let's get breakfast on. Right, come to the end of the session now. A really good 48-hour session. Not the most productive session I've ever had, but I've had 3 fish now, 3 tench. All of them over £6, all of them specimen sized fish. And a great bit of fishing and a great bit of specimen hunting. Really great to go onto a lake where you don't really know of the stock. You don't know of the stocking density. You don't really know where to fish. You don't even know what you're going to be greeted with when you come in. You don't know if the fish are on bait or not yet, or anything like that. So it's great to come to a completely new water, a difficult water at that, be able to get a few fish out. It's been really good. And it's also allowed me to find the feeding patterns and what baits I know the fish are going to be on. So when I come back here at a later date, allow me to fish for them then. I think I've hit these fish at their peak in terms of their weight, because all the fish I've had very large bellies from spawning, just simply because they're full of spawn. That is the advantage I get for fishing for tench at close season. You will get those bigger weights. They must have had at least a pound of spawn with them. So that 7-pounder I had probably would have been a 6 worth of spawn, and I think that's probably the upper limit of the fish is going to be in it. They might be larger, but who knows. What is interesting is that I've seen a few carp crash, which is definitely something I'd like to go for next year or something in this lake. Going to be very challenging if we do that, just simply because, just like the tench, they won't be on boilies and things. You know, they're going to be on natural bait, so it's going to be very hard to target them. But it's something I'd love to do and be well worth doing. But as I said, overall it's been a great session. The weather's been kind to us, it's been nice weather. Never know, that might be what would put them off during the day, because it's very, very clear water, crystal clear, you can see the bottom, not very deep, so they're not going to feed during the day, they're going to feed during the night when they feel confident and they're away from predators. So yeah, definitely a lake I'm going to come back to. Very happy I've managed to crack it, and what I've got now is a 2-mile walk back. Oh well. Anyway, I'll see you next time, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. Anyway, see you later, and tight lines.